Trust is a strange thing. You do not really think about it when it is solid, when it holds everything together. But the moment it starts to crack, even just a little, the world does not look the same anymore. You start noticing things that used to fade into the background. You start asking questions that never would have crossed your mind before. You start looking for signs, even though you tell yourself you do not want to find them. Jessica and I had been married for 10 years. A full decade of shared routines, familiar habits, predictable patterns. I knew exactly how she liked her coffee, black with just half a teaspoon of sugar. I knew which side of the bed she claimed, how she curled up under the blankets, the scent of her shampoo, the way she drummed her nails on the countertop when lost in thought. I thought I knew her, every little detail, every little quirk. Then things started to shift. It was not anything obvious at first. Just small things that were easy to brush off if I had not been paying attention. She started hitting the gym more often. At first, it was just in the mornings before work. Then she added weekends. Then she started going at night, which made no sense. We both worked regular hours. Evenings were our time, our chance to unwind, watch a little television, talk about our day. And suddenly, she was skipping that. It helps me sleep, she told me one night when I asked about it. You know, I've been stressed. Exercise is supposed to be good for that. I had nothing to say to that. What was I supposed to do? Tell my wife she should not take care of herself? I did not believe her, so I let it go. But did not stop there. She started spending more time on her phone, taking calls in the other room, smiling at messages she never shared. Sometimes she would chuckle, then quickly lock the screen, tucking it away like it was something secret, something just for her. That was when the doubt crept in. I told myself I was overthinking it, that I was imagining things, that I was not the kind of husband who got jealous, who let his insecurities get the best of him. But no matter how hard I tried to shake it off, the feeling would not go away. Then, one night, she told me she was going out for coffee. At 10 o'clock at night, I watched as she got ready. She took longer than usual, fixed her makeup, changed into a fitted hoodie, pulled her hair back into a ponytail. It was just coffee, just a quick outing, nothing special. But I knew my wife, and I knew when she wanted to look good for someone. She kissed my cheek before walking out the door. "Do not wait up," she said, grabbing her purse. I smiled, nodded, and watched her leave. Then I picked up my phone. The tracker app one had installed the night before was simple. Just one tap, and there it was, a blinking blue dot showing exactly where she was. But she was not at a coffee shop. She was at the gym, a gym that closed at 9 o'clock. I stared at the screen, my grip tightening around the phone. My first instinct was that it had to be a mistake. Maybe she left her phone there earlier. Maybe the app was glitching. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But I did not believe any of that. My gut told me otherwise. And for the first time, I was going to listen. I grabbed my keys and walked out. The drive was quiet, nothing but the steady hum of the tires against the road. My mind raced through different possibilities. What if I got there and it was nothing? What if she really was working out? What if she saw me and accused me of not trusting her? None of that mattered anymore. I needed to see for myself. I parked across the street from the gym and shut off the engine. The building was dark. The parking lot nearly empty, just a few scattered cars. The main lights inside were off, but I could see the faint glow of some equipment screens. Then, after a few minutes, the door opened. Jessica stepped out first. She adjusted her hoodie, smoothed her hair, glanced around as if checking to see if anyone was watching. Then he followed. Tall, built, the kind of guy who spent more time in front of a mirror than anything else. He grinned, said something to her, and she laughed. Not just any laugh, but one of those deep, genuine ones. The kind she had not given me in months. Then he reached out, barely touched the small of her back. And she did not pull away. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I had my answer. Now I just had to decide what I was going to do about it. I did not follow her home that night. I wanted to. My hands were on the wheel, my foot ready to press the gas, ready to trail her all the way back to our house. I wanted to see her walk through the front door like nothing had happened. Like she had not just been with another man. Like she had not laughed with him, let him touch her, given him attention that used to be mine. But I did not, because I knew myself. And if I saw her walk inside, saw her take off her shoes, hang up her coat, past the couch where we used to sit together, lie down in our bed like it was just any other night. If I saw that, I was not sure I could hold myself back. So, I sat in my car instead, my grip still tight on the wheel, my mind racing, my pulse steady but heavy like the ticking of a time bomb. I watched her taillights disappear down the road, and I made my choice. I was not going home. Not yet. Somehow, I ended up at an old bar I had not visited in years. One of those places where the drinks were cheap, the lights were dim, and no one asked questions. I slid into a booth, ordered a whiskey neat, and watched the ice melt in my glass. The bartender did not try to make conversation. Good. I was not in the mood. My phone sat on the table, the tracker app still open. Jessica's location was back home now, right where it should be. Safe and sound in the house we built together. The house where we had laughed, argued, made up, made love. A house that felt like a lie now. I took a sip. The burn did nothing to ease the tightness in my chest. How long had this been going on? I thought back to the first time she mentioned the gym. Months ago. Maybe longer. She had said she wanted to take better care of herself, feel healthier. I had encouraged it. What kind of husband would not? I told her I was proud of her, told her she looked great. But now I saw the truth. She had not been doing this for herself. She had been doing it for him, and I had been too blind to see it. I glanced down at my phone again, my thumb hovering over her name. I could call her, ask her where she had been, listen to her lie straight to my face. I could go home, wake her up, make her say it out loud. But that was not enough. I needed more than words. I needed proof. I needed to see her squirm, to watch her stumble through her excuses, to let the weight of her own betrayal come crashing down on her the moment she realized I knew. That was when I made my decision. I was not just going to confront her. I was going to make her feel exactly the way I felt right now. By the time I pulled into the driveway, the house was dark and still. Only the soft glow of the hallway light remained. Jessica always left it on when she came home late. It was a little habit, one of those things I used to find endearing. Now it just made me sick. I stepped inside, my keys jingling as I set them down on the counter. I stood there listening. The house smelled the same, looked the same, but it was not the same. Not anymore. I could hear the steady hum of the bedroom fan upstairs. She was already asleep, comfortable, peaceful, like she had no weight on her shoulders, like she had no reason to be restless. I climbed the stairs, my steps slow and controlled. My heart was steady, my breathing even, but inside I was burning. A slow, consuming fire that only grew hotter. I pushed open the bedroom door. There she was. Jessica, curled up under the blankets, her hair splayed across the pillow, her lips parted just slightly as she breathed. I stood there, watching her, letting the weight of it all settle over me. Did she dream about him? Did she think about him when she kissed me? When she said my name? The thought made my fists clench. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and took a screenshot of the tracker app. Her location at the gym, time-stamped undeniable. Then I scrolled back through the surveillance camera footage I had installed in the living room months ago. Not because I suspected her, but because I want to keep an eye on things while we were away. I pressed play. There she was 2 nights ago, slipping in through the front door just past midnight. Hair damp, hoodie unzipped just enough to show the outline of a sports bra. She checked her phone, smiled at something, then disappeared into the bedroom. I fast-forwarded. The next night, same thing. Every single time, the same routine. Late-night gym sessions. Coming home when she thought I was already asleep. Checking her phone like she was waiting for something. I had all the proof I needed. Now, I just had to decide how I was going to use it. I turned off my phone, slipped it back into my pocket, and quietly stepped out of the room. Not tonight. Not yet. She would get what was coming to her. But I was going to make sure it hurt. I did not sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to Jessica's slow, even breaths beside me. Every rise and fall of her chest felt like an insult. She had no idea. She still thought she was safe, that she was lying next to the same naive, trusting husband she had fooled for months. I could have woken her up right then, shaken her awake, shoved the proof in her face. But that would have been too easy, too quick. No, I wanted more than a confrontation. I wanted her to feel it. I wanted to see the panic in her eyes when she realized she was caught. I wanted to hear her fumble through half-baked excuses. I wanted to watch her struggle, to find a way to paint herself as the victim. So I waited. I waited for the perfect moment. Morning came, and Jessica moved like nothing had changed. She rolled out of bed, stretched, and walked right past me toward the bathroom. "Morning," she mumbled, still groggy. I did not answer. She did not notice. A few minutes later, she was downstairs, pouring herself coffee, scrolling through her phone as she always did. I sat at the table, watching, studying, noticing every tiny detail, the way she chewed on her lip, the way her fingers hovered over the screen like she was waiting for something. A message from him, probably. I wanted to rip that phone out of her hands, to smash it, to watch her scramble, her mind racing to come up with an excuse. But I did not. Not yet. Instead, I played it cool. "Hey," I said, my voice level controlled. "What time did you get home last night?" She barely looked up. Not late. Maybe 11. Lie. The tracker app had stamped her arrival at 12:37 a.m. I took a sip of my coffee, letting her words sit in the air, letting her believe I had accepted them. "You were out with Kelly?" I asked. She hesitated, just for a fraction of a second. "Yeah," she said. "We grabbed a drink after she got off work." Another lie. Kelly, her supposed alibi, had posted an Instagram story at 10 p.m., curled up at home with her husband, watching some reality show. I had already checked. Jessica still had not caught on to my silence. She was too focused on whatever was lighting up her screen. Probably him. I clenched my jaw, took another sip, and let her keep digging her own grave. "You heading to the gym today?" I asked casual. That got her attention. She glanced up, blinking. Then she forced a smile. "Yeah, keeping up with my routine." "Right," I said. "Routine." She did not catch the edge of my voice. She just nodded and kept sipping her coffee. She was too comfortable, too confident, too sure that she was getting away with this. That was going to change. I left for work, but I did not hear a word anyone said to me all day. I sat at my desk, staring at my screen, replaying it all in my head. The way she laughed with him, the way she let him touch her, the way she still thought I had no idea. I could have confronted her that night, but something inside me whispered, "Wait, make it count." So I planned. If she wanted to sneak around, I would make sure she got caught in the worst way possible. I started digging deeper, checking phone records through our shared account, looking for patterns. And there was one number showing up over and over, mostly late at night, sometimes just minutes after she got home. I saved it. Then I went further. That evening, while Jessica was in the shower, I walked into the bathroom, acting like I was just grabbing my toothbrush. Her Apple Watch was sitting there on the counter, charging, unlocked. She was humming under the water, completely unaware. I swiped up, checked her recent messages, and there it was. "Last night was amazing. I cannot wait for our next session." "Me too. You really know how to give me a good workout." "Careful, someone might see these messages." "Do not worry. He never checks my phone." I nearly crushed the damn watch in my hand. The arrogance, the sheer disrespect. She knew she was betraying me, and she still had the nerve to joke about it. She thought I would never check. She thought I would never know. I placed the watch back exactly where it had been, walked out of the bathroom, sat down on the bed, fists clenched. Minutes later, she came out, towel wrapped around her body, steam still clinging to her skin. She smiled at me. I just stared at her. How many times had she walked out of the shower like this after coming home from him? How many times had she kissed me goodnight while thinking about him? I almost lost it right then and there. Almost let the fury explode out of me. But I swallowed it down. Not yet. Tomorrow night, she was planning another gym session. That was when I would make my move. The next day dragged. Every minute stretched out, tightening around me like a wire ready to snap. My patience was wearing thin. Jessica acted like it was just another day. She woke up early, made coffee, kissed my cheek like nothing had changed. Like she had not spent the night before texting another man from our bed. Like she was not planning to meet him again tonight. I watched her. She had no idea. I left for work, but my mind was already set. The anger had settled into something colder now, controlled, precise. I was not just angry. I was ready. That evening, Jessica started getting ready around 9. I sat on the couch, pretending to watch television, pretending not to notice the extra effort she was putting into her appearance. She was not dressed for a workout. leggings that hugged her body just a little too well, a top that clung to her frame just enough to be noticeable, hair tied back neatly, makeup applied just enough to make a difference. She walked past me, grabbing her bag. "I will be back soon," she said casually. I did not respond right away. Just let the silence hang a second too long. She hesitated. "Are you okay?" I forced a small smile. "Yeah, just tired." She nodded and walked out the door. I counted to 10. Then I grabbed my keys and followed. I did not need the tracker this time. I already knew exactly where she was going. Her car led me straight to the gym, just like I expected. The lights inside were dim. The parking lot was mostly empty except for a couple of cars. Hers. His. I pulled into a spot at the far end of the lot, close enough to see, but not close enough to be seen. And then I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then, through the glass doors, I saw them. Jessica and him. The trainer. The man she had been sneaking around with. They were not working out. They were standing too close. Talking, laughing. He said something, and she reached out, playfully hitting his arm. He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward him for just a second, but that was all it took. Enough to confirm everything. Enough to make my blood boil. I could have stormed him right then. Could have shoved the doors open, grabbed him by the collar, and slammed him against the nearest wall. But that would have been too fast. I wanted this to hurt. I wanted her to feel it. So I waited. They did not stay inside long. 15 minutes later, they walked out together, laughing like a couple of teenagers sneaking around behind their parents' backs. Jessica unlocked her car, but before she got in, he leaned in close, whispering something in her ear. She giggled, biting her lip, then playfully shoved him away. And then she kissed him. Not long, not deep, but did not have to be. She had never kissed me like that when she thought no one was watching. Something inside me snapped. I stepped out of my car and slammed the door shut. The sound echoed through the quiet parking lot, sharp as a gunshot. Jessica froze. The trainer turned, his expression shifting from amusement to confusion to something else. Fear. I started walking toward them. Jessica's eyes went wide. Oh my God. I did not let her finish. Do not. My voice was low, steady. Too steady. She took a step back, her breath catching. It is not. I laughed. A real laugh, rough and bitter. Not what it looks like. Go ahead. Say it. She did not. Because she knew. She knew there was nothing left to say. I turned my attention to the trainer. My fists itched. He looked nervous now, glancing between me and Jessica, like he was calculating his odds. Smart man. I took a step closer. He took a step back. Look, man, he started. Shut up. He did. Jessica reached for me. Please, let us just. I pulled away from her touch, like it burned. Do not. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. She had nothing. No excuses. No way out. I looked at her. At him. At the wreckage of what used to be my marriage line between us. And I smiled. Not because I was happy. Not because I forgave her. But because I had already won. She just did not know it yet. I turned and walked away. Jessica called after me, but I did not stop. I had spent enough time being the fool. Now it was her turn. I drove home in silence. No music, no distractions. Just the hum of the engine beneath me, the occasional flash of a streetlight across the windshield. My hands were steady on the wheel, my breathing controlled. But inside I was a storm. I kept seeing it. The way she laughed with him. The way she let him touch her. The way she kissed him like I never existed. Like we never existed. And yet, she still had the audacity to call after me. Like there was anything left to say. Like there was some version of this where I would just let it go. She thought she knew me. She was wrong. By the time I pulled into the driveway, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Jessica wanted to play games? Fine. I was going to make sure she lost everything. I walked inside and headed straight for the bedroom. The bed we shared, the life we built, the illusion I had let myself believe for far too long. Not anymore. I yanked open the closet and grabbed a suitcase. Then, methodically, I started packing. Not for me. For her. Her clothes, her shoes, her damn toiletries, all of it. Every little reminder of her. Every piece of her that had occupied space in my home, in my life. She did not deserve to sleep here tonight. She did not deserve to pretend things were normal, to smooth it all over with a few well-placed lies. She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. When I was done, I zipped the suitcase shut and dragged it downstairs. And then I waited. It took almost an hour before I heard her car pull into the driveway. I did not move from the couch. Arms crossed, eyes locked on the front door. I could feel her hesitation on the other side. Good. Let her hesitate. Let her wonder what was coming. Finally, she pushed the door open. She stepped inside, cautiously scanning the room, searching my face for a reaction, for some hint of what was about to happen. I did not move, did not say a word. Then she saw the suitcase by the door. Her breath hitched. What is that? I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. What do you think? Her face paled. You are serious? I laughed, a dry, humorless sound. Oh, I'm very serious, Jessica. She shook her head and stepped closer, her voice dropping into that soft, pleading tone she always used when she wanted to manipulate me. Baby, please, let us talk about this. I stood up so fast she flinched. Talk, I repeated, tilting my head. You mean like how you talk to him? Like how you talk to me every night while sneaking around behind my back. She swallowed hard, wringing her hands together. It did not mean anything, I swear. Did not mean anything? I let out a sharp breath, shaking my head. That is funny, Jessica, because it looked pretty damn meaningful when you were kissing him in the parking lot. Her eyes widened. You saw. I saw everything. My voice was ice now, cutting through whatever excuse she had lined up. I saw the messages. I saw the late-night workouts. I saw exactly how much of a fool you thought I was. She blinked rapidly, shaking her head like she could erase the last 5 minutes. Like she could somehow convince me that I was the one getting this wrong. I love you, she whispered, voice trembling. It was a mistake. Stop. She did. I stepped closer, lowering my voice to something slow, steady, dangerous. You do not get to say that, I told her. You do not get to stand here and act like you give a damn about me after what you did. Tears welled in her eyes. It did not mean anything. Then why did you lie about it? I shot back. Why sneak around? Why hide it? She had no answer. Because there was none. Jessica had always been a good liar, but not good enough. I grabbed a suitcase and shoved it toward her. You are leaving. Her jaw dropped. Wait, what? You heard me. Her eyes darted around, searching for a way out, for a way to talk her way back in. But where am I supposed to go? I shrugged. Do not know. Do not care. She let out a shaky breath. You are really just throwing me out? Now I laughed. A real laugh. Cold and sharp. Oh, now you care about this marriage? Now, when you have been caught. I shook my head. You made your choice, Jessica. Now you get to live with it. A tear slid down her cheek. Please, she whispered. Do not do this. I just stared at her. The woman standing in front of me was not my wife. Not anymore. She was just another stranger. And I owed her nothing. I pointed to the door. Get out. Jessica did not move. She stood there, suitcase in hand, breath coming in shallow, uneven bursts. For the first time since this all started, she looked scared. Not scared of me. Scared of what came next. Please, she whispered. Can we just talk about this? I let out another laugh. Not because anything was funny, but because the audacity of her was beyond belief. Talk, I echoed. Talk about what, Jessica? About how you threw away 10 years of marriage for some gym rat. About how you have been sneaking around for months, thinking I would never find out. She flinched at that. I was not sneaking around. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, you were not. I pulled out my phone, tapped a few times, then turned the screen toward her. So this is not you. The screenshot of her messages with him glowed between us. She paled. You went through my phone? A bitter laugh ripped from my throat. Are you seriously trying to make this about me? I shook my head. Unbelievable. She exhaled shakily. I made a mistake. I folded my arms. No, Jessica, a mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is leaving the stove on. A mistake is not screwing your personal trainer behind my back for months and lying to my face every single night. She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. Do not. My voice was final. Her hand dropped. I love you, she choked out. I swear to God, I love you. I just stared at her. She loved me? No. She loved the version of me who did not know. The man who trusted blindly. The idiot who kissed her goodnight while she snuck out to be with him. But that man was gone, and she had killed him. I took a slow breath, pushing down the fury that clawed at my throat. I was done yelling, done arguing. Jessica was not my wife anymore. She was just some woman standing in my house, begging to stay in a life she had already burned to the ground. I pointed to the door again. "I told you," I said, voice flat. "Get out." Her chin trembled. "Where am I supposed to go?" I shrugged. "Not my problem." Her breathing hitched. You were seriously kicking me out?" I tilted my head. "Tell me, Jessica, when you were with him, did you ever stop to think about where I would end up? Did you ever stop and wonder what would happen if I found out?" She did not answer, because we both knew. She never thought about what would happen, because she never thought she would get caught. I stepped back, jaw tight. "You made your choice. Now live with it." She wiped at her eyes, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. "So that is it? Just like that?" I nodded. "Just like that." She hesitated, fingers on the door handle. Looked back at me one last time, but I just stared, because there was nothing left to say. So she opened the door and stepped out of my life. I sat at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, watching the sun rise through the window. For the first time in a long time, I felt different. Lighter. The anger was still there, simmering low, but it was no longer in control. It no longer dictated my every thought. Jessica's name popped up on my phone again. I let it ring. Then came the text. "Please, I just want to talk." This time I replied, "There is nothing left to talk about." Then I blocked her number. And just like that, it was over. I did not go into work that day. Instead, I drove. Nowhere in particular, just open roads, endless space, time to think. And I thought about everything. The lies, the betrayal, the way she had smiled at him, like he was the one who mattered. Then I thought about me, the man I had been, the man she had taken for granted, the man who had spent 10 years building a life with someone who did not respect him enough to be faithful. And I realized something. I was not broken. I was not destroyed. I was not done. Jessica had made her choice. Now it was my turn, and I was choosing me. For the first time in years, I felt something I had forgotten. Freedom. The days that followed were strange. Not in the way I expected. There were no breakdowns, no sleepless nights drowning in regret, no crushing sadness weighing down on my chest. I kept waiting for it. That moment when the reality of it all would hit me, when the silence in the house would become unbearable, when I would reach for my phone to text Jessica, only to remember she was gone. But it never came. Instead, there was relief. Real, solid, unmistakable relief. Like I had been carrying something heavy for years without realizing it. And now that weight was finally gone. The first morning after she left, I woke up at my usual time, rolled over, and for the first time in a long time, there was no tension waiting for me. No pretending, no lying to myself, no second-guessing my own instincts. She was gone, and the air felt lighter. I took a few days off work, not because I could not function, but because I wanted the space. To think, to breathe, to figure out what came next. The house felt different. Her side of the closet, once overflowing, was half empty. Her perfume still clung to the bathroom air, but it was fading. The coffee mug she always used sat untouched in the cabinet, a relic of another life. I could have thrown it all away, could have burned it, trashed it, erased every trace of her from this place. But I did not, because this was not about her anymore. This was about me. I was not going to let her tame my space. Instead, I made it mine again. I rearranged the living room, moved things around, put up old pictures I had forgotten about, pictures of family, of friends, of moments before Jessica ever entered my life. I cleaned out the bedroom, not out of anger, because I needed to, because I refused to sleep in sheets that smelled like someone who had spent months lying to me. Then I did something I had not done in years. I went to the gym, not her gym, a different one, a better one, and for the first time in a long time, I worked out for me. Not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, not to keep up with expectations, just because it felt good. And damn, it felt good. Jessica tried reaching out again. I had blocked her number, but that did not stop her from finding other ways. Emails, messages from unknown numbers, even a handwritten letter in my mailbox. I ignored them all. I was not interested in explanations. She had months to be honest with me. She had chosen to lie instead. The only message I ever sent back was short, final, We are done. Move on. She never responded after that. Maybe she finally understood. Or maybe she had just moved on to her next lie. Either way, she was not my problem anymore. A few weeks passed, and something unexpected happened. I started living again. I went out with friends, realized how much I had neglected them, too wrapped up in keeping my marriage afloat to notice I was drifting away from the people who actually cared about me. I picked up old hobbies, and then, one afternoon, I walked into a dealership and did something for myself. I bought a motorcycle, something I had always wanted, something Jessica had always made excuses against. Too dangerous, she used to say. We do not need one. Well, she did not need one, but I did, so I bought it. And damn, it felt good. Riding down open roads, wind in my face, no one telling me what I should or should not do. No one checking up on me. No one waiting at home with another lie ready on her lips. Just me. And for the first time in years, that was enough. One night, I was sitting on my back porch, beer in hand, watching the sky darken when my phone buzzed. A message from a number I did not recognize. At first, I thought it was Jessica. One last attempt. But it wasn't. It was from Kelly. Hey, I know this is random, but I just wanted to check on you. Hope you're doing okay. Lisa's friend. Or I guess former friend. I stared at the message for a moment, then typed back. Did Jessica send you? A few seconds later, my phone buzzed again. Hell no. I haven't spoken to her since everything went down. I know how much of a mess she is. And I figured she left a bigger mess behind. I smirked at that. You figured right. Another buzz. So tell me, how does it feel to be free? I leaned back in my chair, staring up at the night sky. And for the first time since it all happened, I really thought about it. How did it feel? It felt like I'd been holding my breath for years, and now, finally, I was breathing again. It felt like I had wasted too much time trying to fix something that was already broken. It felt like for the first time in a long time, I was living for myself. I smiled, and I typed back. It feels damn good.